So this video is going to be all about my septum piercing, which is by far my favorite piercing, even though I only have 5, which are just my lobes and my septum, obviously. I decided I wanted a septum piercing about a month or 2 or 3 before my 18th birthday. At the time I first decided I wanted one, I was under 18, so I continuously begged my parents, like to the point where they were like, whenever I opened my mouth, they were like, if you say anything about a septum piercing, we're going to murder you. So I eventually just decided, hey, I'm turning 18 soon. Get a friend, go up to the local piercing parlor, and I'll get my septum pierced. So my piercer was super nice. First, when I walked in and said I wanted a septum piercing, she just had me look up. She looked up my nostrils, which was a little bit awkward, and said, okay, sure. We went into the back, she cleaned out my nose, she marked it all out, put clamps on, let me look at it, and then just poked the needle right through. It didn't really hurt at all. Like, my lobes hurt a lot more than this, I would say. I bled a bit though, which was a little bit embarrassing. She had to clean me up with some Q-tips and such. So that was not my proudest moment, but hey, I loved my septum piercing. I adored it. She did an amazing job. The pain, like I said, it's a lot less. I would say a lot less than my lobes. Maybe a 3, 2, oh god, not even a 3, like a 2 out of 10 maybe? Like, what I would compare it to is plucking a nose hair. I know that that's the overused analogy, but that's really what it's like. It's just plucking a stubborn nose hair, basically. So the aftercare that was prescribed to me by my piercer, warning, I'm not saying this is how you should treat your piercing. You refer to your piercer. I'm just saying this was what I did with my piercing, and it worked for me. I've heard this was before, like, I really got into the piercing community, body mod community, where everyone recommends sea salt soaks, which are, I believe, a 1/4 cup of hot water to a teaspoon of salt, pure sea salt, fine ground, whatever. I don't know, Google it, or I'll put it somewhere. But my piercer instructed me to personally use like a dial bar soap and to use Q-tips to clean it, to get some water up there, to use the bar soap and just clean it out with Q-tips, dry it, clean it 2 or 3 times a day for the first week, and then put on antibacterial stuff and Bactine on different periods. But again, this is just what my piercer told me, this is what I did. I'm not recommending it to anyone. Another thing that a lot of people have had problems with that, like, is a pain, I guess, is the crusties, which is just like, you know, your body trying to heal around the piercing and releasing sebum or or whatever that word is. I personally had next to no issues. When I would clean it, I would just, again, take a Q-tip with hot or warm water and gently remove it. I just didn't have a problem. I really didn't even have a problem with it after the first week or 2, so it just didn't affect me, like, at all. So as you may remember, I mentioned that I got this piercing about a week after my 18th, not a week, about a month after my 18th birthday, or 2 months, around there. And I did not tell my parents. I had the brilliant idea that I was just going to flip it up and keep it hidden from them. Due to some circumstances, my brother found out, and then he was basically blackmailing me for quite a while, and if you don't do X, I'm gonna tell mom and dad about your nose piercing. So eventually I just told my parents, because I'd rather just have it out in the open and let them know that yes, I did defy their wishes and go and get a nose piercing, which in my opinion wasn't the worst teenage rebellion I could do. So my mom was just very she was just like, leave me out of it. I don't want to deal with the fallout that comes from when my dad heard about it. When I told my dad about it, he basically threatened to like kind of like just disown me. Like he threatened to, oh god, he threatened to basically make me live like a pauper in his house, because his house, his rules. And you know, eventually got to the point where he did not mind as much, which I knew would eventually happen. But with my dad, he is the sort of person who takes about a year to decide what color to paint a room, or he takes way too long to make even very simple decisions, and I just didn't want to wait. I knew this was something I wanted, and even now, 4 or 5 months later, I'm still in love with it, and I will hopefully continue to be in love with it, just because I like septum piercings. Now that it is all healed up, again, disclaimer, this is just what I do. This probably isn't the proper way to clean piercings. This is just what I do. It works for me. It might not work for you. I'm not a medical professional, nor am I a piercer of any kind. You know, I'm not, so don't take my word. But what I personally do is when I get a shower in the morning, I'll go up there with clean hands and just swish some warm water around, just to, you know, clean out any gunk that might have built up from the night before. And then at night, I will take all my jewelry out. I take out my nose ring, I take out all my earrings, and I clean them either in warm antibacterial soapy water, which you're probably not supposed to do. And so I will either clean my jewelry with hydrogen peroxide, which this is like, what, $1? Maybe? Not even? Which you're probably not supposed to do, but... And then for the piercing itself, if it's a little bit irritated, because I do tend to tug on it when I'm nervous, which isn't a good habit to get into, but I play with all of my piercings when I'm nervous, which really isn't a good habit to get into. I use, like I mentioned earlier, sea salt. I use Morton's just because that's what my grocery store had. And I'll take a little itty bitty like Dixie cup and fill it with hot water, as hot as I personally can stand it, and put in a little bit of sea salt and soak my piercings in it for a couple of minutes, usually for about 3 or 4, depending. This is really gross, sorry. Another thing I use to clean my piercings on the regular is antibacterial bar soap, which is probably not the best thing, but it's what works for me. It's what my piercer recommended, so that's what I do, because I trust my piercer personally. And finally, since I am stretching my septum, I rub a little bit of jojoba or vitamin E oil on it. Just, again, coat 2 fingers, go up there, you know, massage it for a minute or 2. Yeah, jojoba. My vitamin E oil is actually down in my book bag, which is downstairs, and I'm not going downstairs. So, but it's just like a little thing, and I personally prefer jojoba oil just because it's a lot thinner and easier to massage with. Vitamin E oil, or at least the kind I got, is like really thick, and it works, but I just prefer jojoba. Other types of oils I've seen people recommend are tea tree, grapeseed, and emu, but I personally haven't had any experience with them, so I don't know how they work. This is just what I do. This is what works for me. So I also rub the jojoba oil on my lobes for a few minutes every night because I am stretching them, and even though I'm only at a 16G, I figure it's a good habit to get into, since I do want to go to about a 4 or 2G maybe. And finally, with my septum, I think I have no idea what my goal size is right now. I'm just kind of going at it, and we'll see when we get there. It's at a 14G right now. I love it. I plan on dead stretching basically the entire way there, just gradually getting bigger rings, just so it dead stretches and I don't have to use tapers, because tapers personally scare me a little bit because I've only ever used them once. So there's that. Okay, so if you like this video and you want to see me vlog or do videos like this more regularly, because I do plan on getting a heck load more piercings and tattoos and body mods and all that stuff, because I just adore it. So if you want to see more whatever these videos are with me, you can subscribe. Also, don't forget to like, comment, favorite if you enjoyed the video. I don't know why you would have.